Today is Thursday, February 23rd, 2017, and there's a lot going on today. You got the executive orders floating around about the bathroom situation, but I won't talk about those executive orders and that kerfuffle today. What I want to talk about is these so-called protesters or uprisings or just en masse showings of people at these GOP town halls across the nation. Now, this was a story on NBC Nightly News last night, and I'll play that clip for you in a minute here, and I'll show you what Donald Trump said about it in the actual clip. But before we get into it, this whole thing is not something that just came about just by happenstance. It's not just isolated incidents in different places that are not related. This is a not worldwide, but definitely nationwide effort to really just kind of attack the political system on the right. Now, this comes about by a certain group, and you'll see it in the clip. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play a couple clips. I'm going to play a clip from NBC Nightly News that came on last night, and then I'll play a clip from CNN, and you'll be able to see. I was surprised when CNN showed it, because I pretty much think CNN is fake news. The Clinton News Network, the con artist news network, I did not think they would actually show who's behind this so-called nationwide protest. It's an organized thing, and they showed people that were actually involved with it. They showed a video and everything that shows how they operate. And I'll also show you a video of what happened in my local area. But before we get into all of that, before we jump into my analysis and the breakdown of it, what I want to do is show you the first two videos first. First would be the video from NBC, and then it'll be this video from CNN. Like I said, the video from NBC will basically show what's been happening as of last night. And the one from CNN, this was released earlier in the month, and it shows who's behind the actual protests at these GOP town halls across the nation. So without further ado, go ahead and roll it.
Tonight, an uproar in Arkansas. The latest in a series of fiery, in-your-face confrontations.
Hopefully kill Obamacare. Improve it.
For many Republican lawmakers at town halls nationwide, a hostile homecoming. Constituents demanding answers on health care, taxes, and immigration.
It's not all a one-size-fits-all. Government's the solution. You ought to know better than that.
The Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, dismissing the outcry.
I always remind people, winners make policy and losers go home.
Before getting an earful of his own.
These coal jobs are not coming back, and now these people don't have the insurance they need because they're poor.
In rural Virginia.
What are you talking about? You're insane!
Backlash for Tea Party favorite Dave Bratt, who rode a wave of anger into office in 2014 and now faces one.
Obamacare has just collapsed.
An overflow crowd of mostly defiant Democrats last night rallying outside.
Is this a metaphor for America, what we witnessed in this room? You got people yelling and screaming at you.
The divide, the anxiety level and the tension level is huge. Now we need to relieve the anxiety, right? And part of what will relieve the anxiety is when you get the economy growing.
The president remains unimpressed, mocking so-called angry crowds, insisting many are planned out by liberal activists. These protesters dispute that anyone was paid. Still, the tension is gaining traction. The pressure now mounting on other lawmakers to show up. In California, activists attacking Republican Paul Cook, slapping missing stickers on milk cartons. Lawmakers running the gauntlet, wondering whether this is an isolated moment or the start of a movement. Peter Alexander, NBC News, Blackstone, Virginia.
Why did you let us in? From Nebraska to Pennsylvania to Indiana. Knocking on district doors, sitting in uninvited. Channeling post-election anger, a progressive movement called Indivisible.
You will have three simple targets: your 2 U.S. senators and your representative.
Indivisible was founded by former congressional staffers who saw firsthand the power of the 2009 Tea Party to stall President Obama's agenda. Indivisible now claims 3,000 groups and 100,000 members spread across every congressional district.
These are the things that we need to ask Jason Chaffetz.
It's organized. Donald Aguirre live streaming an action plan to Indivisible, Utah, 24 hours before Congressman Chaffetz's town hall.
This is directly in response to the election.
100%. I would say so. From one Donald to another, I'm not going anywhere. And there are millions of people like me that are going nowhere.
All right, so you see what's going on there. You see what is happening. You know, people want to say that Trump is wrong for saying that these people are, you know, liberal protesters. Some of them may have been paid. You know, they had signs to say not paid, is that, and the third. And they may be right that some of them are not paid, but it's obviously organized by liberal activists and protesters. I mean, there's a video online that shows exactly what they want you to do and how to do it. You saw that guy at his computer making a video with the disagree and agree signs. And as you noticed in the first video, they had the agree signs and disagree signs. So this is obvious what's going on. It's not even a secret. It's out there right on the fake news and everything else for you, right on CNN. So this is obvious that this is a concerted effort to undermine the right. And it's really all about Donald Trump. You know, I'll play a video right now. I'm going to go ahead and just get straight into it. I'll play a video right now of what happened in my local area. Now, this guy is a man named Scott Taylor. Now, Scott Taylor is a House rep from Virginia. He does not represent my local area. We have a guy named Bobby Scott, who is a whole different ball of wax, and I digress. But Scott Taylor obviously is a Republican, and he had 3 town halls. He had one in Virginia Beach, which is not too far from where I'm at right now. He also had one across the water, as we say over here in Virginia, in Yorktown, and he also had one on the Eastern Shore. I'm not quite exactly where on the Eastern Shore, but those are all considered Hampton Roads areas. I think that's all part of his constituency, if I'm not mistaken. I know he has Virginia Beach, and I'm pretty sure he has that over there in Yorktown. I'm not quite sure about the Eastern Shore, but I'm sure he does if he was over there having a town hall. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that video, and you'll see some of the same signs, and you also see red cards and green cards. People was raising those to voice their agreements or disagreements. Obviously, if they flashed a green card, that means that they agree with what was said. If they flashed a red one, that means they disagree. Now, you saw somebody in the audience had a disagree sign that came from the OG movement, but then they kind of remixed it into their own thing. And by the way, all of this really is happening on Facebook. So when talking about getting paid and whatnot, that could be true for people that are on the higher levels of it, because I'm doing the ad right now on Facebook for a person, and I know how much it costs. I know it has to be, you got to have money behind it, and you got to have people that have their time to really put into it. So some say that they're not paid, some say they are, but at the end of the day, money's got to be able to come from somewhere to make it reach a wide group of people all across the nation in a short period of time, with all kind of like the similar message. But I digress. What I want to do right now is show you the video from my local area. You'll be able to see what's going on. We'll come back and we'll continue talking about what's happening here. So without further ado, go ahead and roll this.
We start with that tumultuous town hall meeting from Kempsville High School. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Shad.
And I'm Anita Blanton. Representative Scott Taylor's town hall was in front of a packed house with people of wide-ranging political views.
So many showed up that some had to stay outside. 10 Your Side's Joe Fisher was streaming the event live on his Facebook page, and he continues our live coverage from Virginia Beach. Joe?
Tom, Anita, there were so many people out here tonight that hundreds of them got turned away, forced to stay outside for the duration of this event, and many of them did. Inside, emotions certainly running high as Scott Taylor's constituents pressed him on his votes and his positions on key issues. Outside Kempsville High School, democracy in full display.
Congressional leaders where they just won't answer the question.
Concerns over Washington politics front and center Monday night.
The way this country is right now is not appropriate for my children or my grandchildren.
Well over 1,000 people showed up to Representative Scott Taylor's first town hall since taking office.
So I want a clear answer from Scott Taylor. Will you vote to bring this to the floor and repeal Obamacare?
Inside, more than 700 people seated, Taylor took 35 questions over 90 minutes. He said he wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace it with a new policy that doesn't discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions.
1 month since the inauguration, so did people ask questions about President Trump? I take that they did.
Yeah, Tom, Anita, there were a lot of questions about Donald Trump, and a lot of people had signs about Donald Trump. One person asked Scott Taylor for his position on if Donald Trump should release his tax returns. And actually, just to read a quote, he said, I think it would be a good idea if he did. That took some pressing. Some people that would think that was on the second time of them asking the representative about that. But he did say that while it's not, required for Donald Trump to release his tax returns, it would be a good idea if he did. And on Donald Trump's language, Scott Taylor said, quote, "If you're the president, you should calm down the rhetoric." He echoed that same sentiment this morning on cable news network, saying that the president needs to soften his language. Tom, Anita, a very busy night here. And again, democracy in full force here at Kempsville High School. Back to you.
All right. So you saw that. See, it's the same thing going on here. I'm in Virginia, the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. The situation with Jason Chaffetz, which was the first one I saw that got some national attention, that was over in Utah. You have this same thing happening all across the nation, everywhere, and it's happening the exact same way. Obviously, it's been organized by liberal activists and protesters, and there's got to be money behind it, like I said, because these ads on Facebook, which is where all the action is happening, these ads to promote these things cost money. And the money got to come from somewhere. Now, I wonder who's funding it. I wonder where the money is coming from. Who has deep enough pockets to be able to have a big marketing campaign for these things? Now, me personally, I had no idea what was going on. I'm right here in Virginia. Even though Scott Taylor is not, my representative, I had no idea that the meeting was happening, and I had no idea about the planned little thing that they were doing. They probably targeted the ad to certain people, because I know how it is on the back end, on the power editor and business manager on Facebook. I know how it is. You can target people and you can also exclude people. So let's say, for example, you want to create an ad. You could target people between a certain age in a certain area. They have certain interests, but you can also exclude people that are of a certain age, that live in a certain area, they have a certain interest. So for example, they may look at my profile and things I like, and they can determine based on that basic trends that I would like and dislike. So if I like The Blaze, if I like InfoWars, if I like a lot of these right-wing type of organizations, if I like a page that says anti-abortion, if I live in a certain place, they can exclude me based upon those factors, and they can include people that are pretty much the opposite. If they want to target soccer moms between the ages of 28 to 40 or something like that, they can do that. If they want to target people that are liberal, they can do that. So they know what they're doing. They know who to target, who to get, and who to keep in the dark, so to speak. This is something that has been organized over a period of time. I'm not quite sure how long, but I'll try to find the organization that was in the CNN group and put them in the box below. But basically, the point behind this whole video is to say that all these protests, all these, everything you see that's happening on a large scale, locally and nationally, all of it has been organized. All of it has been paid for. So Trump was 100% correct. People are holding up signs saying not paid. Like I say, they may be correct about not getting paid, but at the end of the day, they have been organized. It's not something that just happened just for no reason. It was a well thought out thing. So that's pretty much all I got to say for it. What do you think? Do you think these organizations have the best interests of Americans at heart, or is it just about their own personal interests? Is it some money behind it? Do you have people that are out there pretty much being useful idiots for certain people that are higher up? Those that we may not even know. George Soros is easily identifiable, but there are many others that you see, but you don't see. You may see them just walking around with certain people in politics, but you have no idea who they are. These people have endless pockets, endless resources. They have no morality, no moral code whatsoever, and they'll pretty much do anything to achieve whatever their dark, sinister goals are. I know it sounds kind of like Alex Jones conspiracy theory, but at a certain point, some of that is true. And it's pretty obvious as to what's happening here. It's not something that is really just for the good of all people. It's almost like an anarchist movement. And who would want that to happen in the United States? I'm not quite sure. But do you think that this is good that they're doing this, that they're organizing, that they are coming together as one to protest against Donald Trump? Do you hate Trump? And if you hate Trump, why do you think that's so? What is your reason for hating Trump? Give me some examples in the comments below. Or do you think that the notion of it being organized is fake? Now, I showed you the actual people that are doing it. I showed you the guy making a YouTube video with the agree or disagree signs. I showed you the guy in the actual crowd. So I don't understand how anybody could say that it's not being organized by, people that are out there that are part of a larger organization They identify the name of the organization, and they identify people that are like branches of the same tree. And you could see the same patterns happening all across the nation, not just in Utah, not just in Virginia, but all over the whole nation. So how can it not be organized when I provided physical evidence or hardcore proof? I think we got to be able to get beyond thinking that it's not organized and just come to agreement upon why is it organized and what would be the best outcome for this whole situation, right? Because are they just going to keep going there day after day throughout this whole 4 to 8 years and just crying about the same thing? Or are they going to improve themselves and their family to be able to work within the actual administration? My final thoughts as I close, my final thoughts are that I think these organizations will start to become weaker when we see Trump actually showing improving the country. Because at a certain point, I think it would be kind of exhausting to go out there and fight for a fruitless cause, especially when the country has improved. So I think success will be the Band-Aid that heals our wounds. But I'm definitely interested to hear from you, to get your thoughts. So whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
It's organized. Donald Aguirre live streaming an action plan to Indivisible, Utah, 24 hours before Congressman Chaffetz's town hall.